Okay, this is an optional video for those of you who'd like to create a histogram. Histograms are powerful tools. They're very commonly used in published research, and basically they show the distribution of your data. So you need continuous data for a histogram, not categories, but a variable that's continuous. And then what the histogram does is it takes all those continuous values and it puts them into bins. And generally, we can get into Excel and choose our own bins if we want, or programs like Excel, SPSS, and another program I'll show you, they go ahead and choose some bins for us. Let's try this in Excel and see if we like the way it turns out, if we like the bins that Excel gives us. So the histogram is not going to be available to you if you're on a Mac. If you're on a Mac, at the end of this, I'll show you a website that you can go to create a histogram. So maybe you want to fast forward through the video to the last minute. If you're on a PC, though, you can get the histogram through this data analysis package, and it's here under the data tab. So I've clicked on data. I already have the data analysis package, but for those of you who are opening Excel for the first time, it won't be there. What you need to do is come over here to the File tab and come down here to Options. And then in this Options pop-up box here, you can choose add-ins, because what happens here is data analysis is an add-in. It's there, it's just not available to you until you make the effort to add it into your ribbon on top. So, oh boy, I think I have too many windows open. Excel's not responding to me. But after you click on add-ins, it will bring up some options for you. And all you really need is the data analysis add-in. As you notice, I also have the solver add-in up here, but it's not required for this course. So pick data analysis, pick OK, and then you should be able to go to your data tab and have that add-in available to you. Now, I'm going to pause because I've frozen my data sheet. I'll come right back. Actually, maybe it's great that my sheet froze, because this may happen to you. Your sheet could freeze. Possibly you'll come here to the data tab and you won't see data analysis. Sometimes, and I don't know why this happens, but I'll ask a student or someone who's having this problem to go ahead, save the data sheet to your desktop, close it out, open it up, and usually if you do a few things, that makes the Excel sheet a little bit more permanent. You know, it's saved, it's been closed, it's been reopened. Data analysis should show up for you. Excel can be finicky, as you probably know by now. Okay, so let's make a histogram. I'm going to click on data analysis, and look, histogram pops right up. So I'm going to click OK, histogram. I want a histogram of my post-test scores. I want to see what they look like. Do I have outliers? Do I have some kind of a weird bimodal distribution? So I highlighted all the numbers in my post-test. I don't have any labels. If I would have highlighted this cell right here, then I could have clicked labels, but I'll put labels on later. Now here's a weird thing about histogram. If I don't check the chart output, Excel will give me the bins and the numbers, but it won't give me the chart, which is a little ridiculous because histogram is a chart. But click the chart output just so you and Excel are on the same page, and then click OK. And let's see what Excel gives me. Okay, here's my histogram. Okay, so I'll just be honest with you, I don't love it. And I'll tell you a few of the reasons why. First of all, I'm going to make it big, right? Second of all, my bars should be touching. So I'm going to left click inside this bar, and I'm going to format my data series. And now, I've got this this little box. I'm going to move over my spreadsheet so you can see it. Do you see this box that opened up? My gap width is 150%. That means it's putting 150% in between the bars. Well, I'm going to just use my little toggle there and put it down to 0. I don't want a gap between my bars. Okay, let me move my spreadsheet back over. And now look, my histogram looks better. Look at this though, I have a blank space in here. Is it okay to have a blank space in a histogram? Yes, because this blank space isn't a space between bars as much as it is an empty bin. And if you look over here at the information, you'll see why we have an empty bin. The bin of points, test scores from 0 to 11 has 1, so there was one person who scored between 0 and 11. Then the students who scored more than 11 up to 19.25, well, there are 15 of those. And then the students who scored from 27.5 to 35.75, there are 0 of those. And so that's why this is looking the way it is. Now, if I wanted to, I could get rid of this little guy, just hit delete. I could change this, although I like frequency because frequency tells me basically how many are in each bin. I like bin too, although if I wanted to add to it, I could say bin of test scores. You can change this. I would change histogram to be a little bit more descriptive so that I remember, if nothing else, home, school. I need to learn how to spell while I talk. Post-test. Okay, so I can make it better that way. Now this is looking like a good graph. I'm going to just throw this out there, give you a thought question, but I'm not going to give you any time to think about it. What would make this so much better? I'll just say it. What would make this better? And I'll tell you what would. These are just weird bins. 19.25, like that's not even possible on this test. All of the scores on this test are whole numbers, and I have these strange numbers in my bin. The truth is I don't know exactly how Excel comes up with its bins. So if it's giving you bins you don't like, we have options. Let's go back to sheet 1. Data analysis. Oh, but before I hit data analysis, whoops, let me cancel that. I'm going to make one more column. I'm going to go ahead and define, I'm going to tell Excel what I want my bins to be. It's going to start at 0, and I think I'm going to go up to 10. Then the next one's going to go up to 20, then 30, then 40, then 50. And then it will automatically give me more so that any scores above 50 will be in that more bin. And I think I'm going to go with this because that just makes sense. We think about things in tens, right? Now, if this were a particular test where, because it's out of 60, maybe I'm on a some kind of a system where I've got maybe an A is, let's see, so an A score, if it were 90%, would be 54. I might do something like that. I could do, oh gosh, I'm thinking here quick, 48. 42, 36. Do you see I might have a reason to do a little bit different type of a bin here? These bins would be like percentiles, right? The 90th, the 80th, the 70th, the 60th, or maybe not so much percentiles as we've learned from our bell curve, but percentages. So that's another option. You can create whatever bins you want. Okay, now I'm ready. I'm done talking. I'm going to click on data analysis, pull up my histogram. Okay, and I've still got the post-test scores highlighted there. It remembers that. But now my bin range right here, 10 to 50 plus more. Excel always gives you more. You could write 60 in here, no problem. But I know that it will give me more. Okay, and I've got my chart output checked. I'm ready to go. Okay, so now here's my new histogram. Let me make this a lot bigger. I like it a lot better. To me, these numbers make more sense. So the same thing, right click, I'm going to format the data series, and you can see this over here again. I'm going to turn that gap width to 0. I'm going to come back here. Look, no one scored in this bin between 30 and 40. Now sometimes these bins can be a little misleading. Like I could label this bin under 10 and watch what happens. It actually changes the label. Here I could say 20 to 30, excuse me, this would be 10 to 20, wouldn't it? In fact, I should say 11 to 20 because under 10 includes the number 10. And oh, it's a little confusing. SPSS does it a little differently, as you might imagine, and R does it a little differently, but 21 to 30, this makes my histogram very understandable. Okay, 31 to 40. And then what you can do is go back and just check. Did Excel get it right? Is there one score between 41 and 50? And did it show up here? Are there, let's see, looks like 16 scores between 11 and 20. And did they show up here? And no scores between 21 and 30. Okay, so let's just talk practical here. What does this mean about our data? Well, it means that it's right skewed. You see how you can imagine a tail off here to the right? It means that most of our students scored between 11 and 20. That's definitely our mode. If we were talking about mode, that's probably even our median is probably going to be somewhere in here. And potentially, it's just not a great score, is it? I mean, if you look at this, it tells you, wow, the scores are on that bottom part of the histogram. And by the end of a whole year at homeschool, we would want to see a lot more up here. Is this normally distributed? Not really. If it were normally distributed, we'd have another bar down here. This tall bar would probably be in the middle, and then we'd have a couple of smaller bars down here. So it's not normally distributed, but we can still use it for our statistical analyses because it's good continuous data. We have 20 data points. We have a good enough case to say, yeah, let's do a t-test. We're in good shape. Now, I promised you this one last quick thing. I went out there and just kind of Googled, and let me make this just a little bit more visible to you. Are there free histogram makers out there? And there are. So if you're on an Apple computer, a Mac, go ahead and copy your data in here. So I just copied it from the spreadsheet, stuck it in here, and now let me just put this right here. If I hit generate, it creates a histogram for me. Now, once again, it's got its own bins here. Here it's got a bin from 11 to 18 and another one from 18 to 25 and 25 to 32. So, you know, the histogram's going to look different depending on the bins that you choose or that the program decides to choose for you. But this still tells the story, right? We've got this huge bar down here on the low end and not nearly enough representation up here in the higher end, not what we'd expect on a post-test. So if you really want a histogram and you're on a Mac, try one of these websites. I'll post this website with a video, and I'd love to see your histogram if you create it in this tool. It looks like, if I scroll down here, that I can tell it how many classes I want. So I might want to say I want 6 bins, and my lowest value is going to be 0. Because that might help me have a histogram that makes just a little bit more sense. Looks like I need to enter my values again and generate again, but you get the idea. You can play around with this a little bit and experiment and just see what you come up with. Okay, well, sorry for the long video. Thanks for listening. Have a great week.